Okay guys, Mike from Boyer Bows here. We're going to continue on with the build along now. In that I am going to, you can see the bow is cut out, handles on. That's pretty much where I left you. And what I'm going to do now is start reducing the belly. This is the back of the bow, handle we put on the belly of the bow. And what we're going to do now is start to cut into that belly wood and try to get it to floor tillered. Now if you're not sure what floor tillered means, it means that when you put it against the floor and put some weight on it, it bends. At the current 3/4 of an inch, the original width of the bow, it doesn't bend. It's as solid as almost like we didn't cut it at all. But here's what we're going to do. My initial markings, I made a line down the side of the bow on each side. Those are my guidelines. What this is here's the back of the bow. I made a number of dots, 1/2 or 1/2 an inch from the back to there, 1/2 an inch. Made a bunch of lines, drew a line. Okay? And I did that on both sides. Now what I'm going to do is unfortunately I don't have power tools that'll properly do the job, so I'm going to use a rasp. And I'm going to rasp off. You can see how I kind of made a line to kind of continue the fade into that working limb. And I'm just going to start taking that wood off. And it doesn't really matter how you get the wood off, guys. As long as you get the wood off the limbs, you've done it properly. You want to use a belt sander, you want to use a hand sander, you want to use a spoke shave, a sanding block, whatever. Go for it. I'm using a rasp because it's what I have. When you're done, I already did this limb, and it's going to kind of look like this. So, you see how the fade kind of went into the working limb a little bit, and then ended just after the fade comes down, and the fade ends about here. Okay, and then it sort of fades into the working limb, which is what you want. And then let's see, it fades again out over here. I got to do a little more of that fade. That's not a very good transition. But let me give you an example of what floor tillered looks like. Let me see. Can you see? All right, there's the floor. All right, so this is the uncut one, and you put weight on it, and it doesn't bend. There's nothing going on. I reduced down to that line, and a little more actually than the line. And now it's got some nice springiness. It's still pretty heavy, but it's got some nice springiness to it. If you're wondering, this current limb, I measured the thickness using one of these Go-Hickeys, and it tells me that the general thickness of the limb has a couple high spots, a couple low spots, but generally speaking it's 7/16 right now, so just under the 1/2 inch that we were starting with. Alright guys, gotta go. Mike from Boyer Bows.